I'm CeeBo the Rapper. You know, I'm a close friend of Ezell Ford, who was murdered by the LAPD about 2 weeks ago. You know, he was shot in the back 3 times while laying on the ground. Right now, we are over here on 65th and Broadway, the street that he was murdered on. We standing in front of a memorial that was painted right here on the corner of 65th and Broadway in honor of Ezell Ford. You know, he was very close. I grew up with him. You know, I looked at him as nothing less than family. So, of course, I've been voicing my opinion through my music, and the LAPD don't like that. Ezell, all he did was walk up and down these streets, you know? He just used to walk very slowly, like he had no destination. He'd just walk. According to the officers, they tried to stop him, and he didn't want to stop. He didn't want to stop walking, so that's why they jumped out their cars. But according to my sources, there were a group of like 15 people like right down the street from where he was. The officers say that there was supposed to be some shots fired in the area, which I was in the area at the moment that he was shot. I didn't hear any shots fired before then, but they say that there was shots fired, so that's why they were doing an investigative stop.
So we sitting directly across the street, man, in the car with my wife, eating on some church's chicken, man. And I was talking to one of my partners named Kojak, and he was like, man, they go to police. So that made me and my wife turn our heads and look back. So as we look back, we see the police approaching from, they head westbound on 65th. So when they come, as they coming down 65th, I'm watching my homie Easy walking down the street like this, regular like gas, walking down the street, regular like gas. Mind you, he's not even aware of the police coming behind him because he's looking straight ahead. Me and my wife are over there chilling. So when he get about right up in here, man, the police merge in, and the next thing you know, you heard a freeze or whatever, right? Those hands go up. Both cars, both doors in the police car bust open, but the driver, which is a tall white boy, jump out first, and they rush the homie. Like, off the dribble, they rush him over here in this corner right here, man. There's a low-key scuffling going on right here in this corner right here, Sam. You feel me? There's a scuffle going on. The police on top of the homie, or whatever the case may be, you feel me? And the next thing I know, you know what I'm saying, you hear a bah! You know what I'm saying? Then a bah! Then you hear a little delay, right? It's a delay. And then you hear shoot him. Then another bah! I'm like, damn, cuz they in my mind, I'm like, they killed my nigga, you feel me? So, I mean, then the other officer, you know what I'm saying, he jumped up from the other crowd from right here, and he started pointing the gun to the homies that was out, that was starting to merge over here, you know what I'm saying? So he was pointing the gun at motherfuckers and shit, you know what I'm saying? Crazy ass shit, you feel me, for nothing. Left the homie out here, I mean, for about 20 minutes. My little nigga just laying here, cuz, you feel me, for about 20 minutes. All you see is police cars. You ain't see no motherfucking ambulance or nothing. So to make a long story short, man, after when the ambulance and fire truck finally did come, the motherfuckers had my nigga cuffed, picked him up like he was a motherfucking pig or something, homie. Come on, man, you could have did anything, man. You could have, if that was the case where it resorted to violence, I mean, you could have socked him up. You could have broke his arm. You could have tasered him, because there's certain things that they teach officers as far as when you in training, they teach you these things, man. It's like you got split-second decisions that you got to make. You know what I mean? They teach you these things. So, I mean, they could have subdued Easy with ease based on the weight from the officer and Easy weight. It should have been nothing to handcuff him and take him away, man. And that would have been that. And I'm sure the family would have been happy with that.
They harass us for no reason. They don't need a reason to jump out on us over here. You know, they assume that just because we're from this area, that we're from a street gang. They assume just because we're from this area, we don't know our rights. We can't control where we're placed, you know? This is where I was born and raised. And I know why they do it, because once they get you under, you know, their record as a gang member or something like that, oh, then now they have the right to push their authority on you. You know, I have little brothers and everything that they done jumped out on and labeled as gang members. Me, everyone, that's just how they do it. Like, for instance, with my video, F the police, there was no gang gestures or nothing like that. They said nothing about gangs, but they labeled it a gang video just because of the area we was in. What you thought? You was gonna kill my nigga? Wasn't gonna say nothing?
Hands up, they killed Ease. Handcuff, he couldn't get free. Fuck police and fuck peace. When they killed Ease, they should've killed me.
the most outraging part about it is that, you know, I have my little sister, you know, she's in college, you know, she has a job, you know, she don't have a criminal record at all. She's on the song with me. You know, her face is just in clear view. You know, you can see her face. So for them to go on there and say, oh, okay, this is an East Coast Crip gang, and my little sisters right here, my little cousins and brothers, you know, Ezell Ford's family, his immediate family was there. It had nothing to do with a gang, you know? And if anyone on there was from a gang, they wasn't out there for no gang purpose. You know, it was not like a gang rally or anything. On my video, on the beginning part, where Leroy Hill, he was explaining what happened. You know, that's my uncle. He was explaining what happened with Ezell Ford. He was an eyewitness to it. Well, on Twitter, one of the LAPD officers, they actually tweeted me and said, he tweeted Jasmyne Cannick, and because she was talking, she made an article about how the video, you know, wasn't a gang thing or nothing. I mean, once he said that, he said that we were actually planning out a LAPD ambush in the beginning of the video. And that shows what they're trying to do. He said, oh, in the video, CeeBo the Rapper has a OGECC planning out an LAPD ambush. And I replied to him, I said, no, he's not planning out an LAPD ambush. He was telling the story of what happened with Ezell Ford. Now, once I said that to him, he replied back to me, well, he said, oh well, he's still an OGECC member. So it's like, what does that even have to do with anything? Even if he was or not, it doesn't matter. He's not on there gang banging. He's not saying any gang terms. He's not promoting any type of a gang or anything. So what does that matter? You know, he was family member to this man. So he did his part in telling what happened. But you know, all gang members are not bad. Some people just made a bad decision in their life before. You know, and once you make that bad decision, once you're in the system as a gang member, once you're known through the streets as a gang member, that's just what it is, you know?
Mr. Izen went on KTLA and said that the first video you did was the East Coast Crip video. How did that make you feel when you heard him tell the media that?
Very angry, because you know, being in LA, you know, it's everywhere you go is pretty much a street gang, you know, in South LA. So now that you label me on the media as an East Coast Crip member, you know, and then I seen an article today where it says that he actually said, and they quoted him, he said that we put it on our YouTube description that we were East Coast Crip members, when that's false. We never said anything like that. But then for him to just label me as an East Coast Crip member to the public, you know, over the media, that puts me in danger. Not only does it put me in danger, it puts everyone else in danger who was in the video, because now I don't know who's seen that news report. Who knows that, okay, who's gonna be able to say, okay, he's from East Coast Crip, and they see me outside of in the mall or anything around here. And this, you know, what if they decide to attack me? Due to that, you know, that's wrong. Now, what I would like, the same way that they went out and said that, oh, you know, he's a street gang member and all this and all that about me, go to the media and tell them that you were wrong. I want a public apology from Tyler Izen, from Charlie Beck, from whoever got on the news and, you know, made those wrongful accusations about me. I want a public apology the same way that they publicly bashed me. Man, let me tell you, I get harassed, man. I get harassed, something so cold. When they see me, if I'm standing out here, you know, when we protesting, it's without a doubt, and everyone, I have my own video footage of it, they'll come slow down and they'll stare at me and just look like they're just waiting on me to do one wrong thing. And you know, that's scary, you know, because it's the LAPD, you know, they can cover up stuff, so they can do whatever they want to me at the end of the day, and they might be able to get away with it, like how they're trying to do Ezell Ford. We've seen this many a times, you know. I got uncles that was actually murdered by the LAPD also, you know, years back, over 15 years ago. Say, for instance, a man was found guilty for killing a cop, and he goes to jail for it. The officers are going to treat him so wrong, and the COs inside of the jails, you know, they're going to beat him. They're going to, you know, they're going to torture him. You know, they're going to take him through it, you know, just because they're pretty much a gang. They have colors. They have ways that you can identify them, just as a gang does. They have territories, just as a gang does, you know. They have all the same tactics as gangs. They even get the LAPD or whatever their division tattooed on them. just as gang members do. That's what they say, that's their thing, become the criminal. Think like a criminal, you know, that's what they do. So after 7 and 8 years of thinking like a criminal, you're gonna become one, you know? That's just how it works. You're gonna become one.
Being from the streets and knowing how the system goes, usually brothers don't pursue legal standpoints against them because we feel it's not going to get nowhere.
What happened wasn't right. A young boy is dead. We got one man's side of the story that they went off of. You know, the other person wasn't here to tell their story, and they used it to their advantage.